Hey everybody, John Huber here from the Maryland Education Network, talking to you about the Kirwan Commission. Now we're going to talk about the third component of the Kirwan Plan. This one deals with the graduation requirements and the college and career readiness. This one is probably the one that's got the most nuts and bolts of everything. I'll try and go through it quickly so I don't bore you. I know this is boring, but this is probably the one that affects Marylanders the most. This is how they're proposing that the whole system of high school graduation and whole system of education be changed. So let's try and give you and part of it, I believe that they just intentionally, make it so complicated that it's almost impossible to keep track of. Anyway, I will go through it. According to what they're saying fully align the instructional system, fully align the current instructional system. Major realignment of curriculum again. The first step is to inventory the current system and then develop curriculum frameworks. I love that term, curriculum frameworks, which are lesson outlines. Much work, and they even say in the own report, much work will be needed in this area. Complete total revision of the curriculum. Multi-year effort in piloting of each component. They need an online, they're saying an online program is available for this, or an online platform to house this will be required. So a whole new development of an online platform, online curriculum from the bottom up is what they're saying. Establish the CCR standard. CCR stands for College and Career Readiness. So if you hear me refer to CCR, that's what that means. It's interesting. Currently, this is probably the big one that I think. Currently, you need according to them, in order to say that a student is college and career ready, you have to score a 4 on the park, which is it's not very easy. Now, 4 on the current park. But as we switch to MCAP, all right, then they're going to base the college and career readiness on the National Center for Economics and Education, the NCEE, empirical study of community college curriculum. So there's this national study on community college curriculum that's out there that I looked through. I haven't read it. I probably will because I have nothing else to do. The executive summary is 24 pages. The math portion of it is 88 pages, and the ELA is 98 pages. So currently, if you score a 4 on Park, you'd be labeled as college career ready. Once the MCAP takes over, which is within the next year or two, we're gradually switching over to that now. Then all of a sudden, we don't use the Park. We use some type of thing that they're going to develop based on that. Okay. Then, after all that's done, then we, meaning the state of Maryland, will subsequently conduct research to see if the CCR standards that were based on that thing I just told you about are comparable to other systems in the world. So we're going to start with Park and say if you get a 4 on Park, you're good. You are college career ready. Once we phase that out, we're going to kind of work on our own little system here based on the NCE, and then we're going to use that. Once we use that, after a couple years, then we're going to study it again to see if what we're using is effectively comparable to what's around the world. That looks like a lot of fun. And then eventually, we're going to include science. For all the science folks out there, it says we're going to include science at such time as is practical. And then the assessment will be the Park, and then, like I said, the Park, then the MCAP. Then we're going to design and then we're going to fully incorporate the NCEE's findings according to that. And that study's not new. It's been out there for a while. All right, so that's how we're going to determine if you're college or career readiness, or college or career ready. Then there's also this part in here called Transitional Supplemental Instruction, or TSI. This is a big program for K through 3, people who are struggling in K through 3. Since the grade, they will use the grade 3 Park as a proxy to estimate the resources because kids don't take Park until grade 3. So as far as K1 and 2, and that's not till the end of their 3rd grade year where they take the Park, they don't really know where these kids are standing officially. I mean, I'm sure the teachers know, but they're going to kind of use 3rd grade Park as a proxy to kind of estimate what the K1 and 2 students are doing to see what kind of interventions they would need. After grade 3, students who will need tutoring will get it through their regular teachers. Again, more teacher time. So the state will fund the TSI, the Transitional Supplemental Instruction. 4, alternative education approaches for students not likely to meet the CCR standard. Extended curriculum, which is more time, not more of the same, but more time on different things. Culturally responsive lessons, adjustment in pedagogy, and varied instructional techniques parents can appeal. So what's going to happen is as a student reaches the 10th grade or is closing in on the 10th grade, or I don't know exactly, I can't remember exactly how they define it. When you get to 10th grade and it appears that this student is not likely to meet it, they will then be transferred into the alternative curriculum. And the alternative curriculum, the parents can appeal this and say, no, that's not right. My child is perfectly fine. He's not going to any alternative curriculum. Because I can tell you, it's my experience that when parents hear the word alternative, they get a little frazzled. Anyway, so everyone who can meet the standard by the time they're in the 10th grade will participate in one of a couple of things. They will do the International Baccalaureate Diploma, the Cambridge or some type of comparable diploma. This is all 3 of these. They will get these. 2, they will be treated, this is at the end of 10th grade, then they're going to transition into an IB program, a Cambridge program, or some type of comparable program, and a program that enables an AA degree that they are either starting, they're going to start college, getting college credits in 11th and 12th grade by either getting or working towards an associate's degree or some type of baccalaureate program that they're going to start. And they need access to CTE programs. CTE is Career and Tech Ed. So when they get 10th grade, they're college and career ready, they go into these diploma things, or if they're not college career ready, they go into the alternative program. For the 11th and 12th graders, for programs who don't meet the college career readiness, they're going to be assigned a case manager, more people, and they're going to be given more classes of what this is how they describe them, hands-on, career-oriented, project and problem-based, occupationally focused. I think they're kind of hinting at the old tech ed type programs, the old industrial arts sort of things, where the more the hands-on type of things. Most people I have ever met believe that the removal of those programs was a significant issue in our educational program. Somewhere along the line, we have decided that everybody has to go to college, and a lot of people don't agree with that, and we miss those programs. So according to them, the people who don't meet college and career readiness will then become more into those types of programs. And of course, we will need a new committee to do this. The Governor's Workforce Development Board. The new committee of the Governor's Workforce Development Board will be created as a CTE board. And the CTE board has tons and tons of responsibilities and authorities, and it will include the heads of the MSDE, which is Department of Education, MHEC, Maryland Higher Education Commission, DLLR, Department of Labor Licensing and Regulations, representative of Community College, the chairs of Skills and Standards Advisory Committee, blah, 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 4 additional representatives from employers, industry, and labor. So another committee of 10 or 12 people, and their charge is to create a system of developing talent needed for high-tech industries and develop a framework. So they're going to start working on building that whole technology piece. This is the CTE board, which will work under the Governor's Workforce Development Board. More people, more boards, more meetings, more stuff. The CTE will create an advisory group. Every student to leave counts. See, I'm kind of losing my thoughts here. That CTE board will create another advisory group that will advise it on what it needs to do, and every student to have a counselor. There's one of 2 ways they can do this. Is they're talking about taking every school and having one counselor that works specifically with career and tech ed type of programs, and there's a few other options they mentioned. Create grants. They're just saying, well, how are we going to pay for this counselor? So I'm going to create grants for counseling, et cetera, et cetera. More CTE high schools. There's a lot of those out there. Employers in this workforce, employers that the workforce, community college certificates programs, and community college certificated programs in the high schools, those sorts of things. So there's more development they're recommending of the career and tech ed high schools, the CTE schools. More money for costlier facilities. That's a whole nother issue. More resources, according to them. Poverty, a poverty weight. When they come to the funding formulas to include a weighted for poverty. Community schools, and these are schools that will develop based on extended learning through train to recognize mental health issues. They talk about. I must be skipping something here. Okay. All right. Well, that was it. I'm sorry. I'm jumping ahead to the next one. Anyway, more cost and money for facilities for the CTE. So they're talking about college and career readiness up through the 10th grade. Students will be identified as either college and career ready or not. If they are, then they go to one of those programs. If they're not, then they go to one of those other programs, and that's where that's where their education is developed in those last 2 years, 11th and 12th grade, either on a diploma type of track or on a CTE type of track. And I think most would agree that it sounds good, but there's a lot of